Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to see so many of you here. And today we will talk something different, something which will probably you will never hear a word Agile ever in my whole presentation. We will talk about something deeper, way, way deeper, something that goes thousands of years back. We will talk about tribes and tribalism. You might ask me, why are you talking about this topic? How we had tribes in prehistoric times, but surely we have evolved beyond that. We have iPhones, we have internet, we have democracy, we have all this wonderful, complicated society we live in. Why do we need to talk about tribes? Ladies and gentlemen, despite all these advances of culture and civilization, we still live a tribal life. We all live in tribes, and probably you can recognize some of them when you think about your organization. We have managers, we have developers, we still have some other people that have other occupations in our life. Doctors, accountants, you name it, they are all different tribes. And how do you know that? If you imagine you go from this conference directly to a doctor's conferences, chances are you will understand about 5 to 10% of what they're saying. Even though they kind of speak the same language, Lithuanian or English, all they say makes absolutely no sense to you because you don't share the language. And more often than not, when you have different departments talking to each other in the company, they don't understand each other. Take finance people. All they care is about books, finances, how much it will cost, and well it will be done. What we care as developers, production incidents, quality of code, number of deployments, and so on. Totally different measures, totally different language, and totally different perspectives. Why do we form tribes? From the ancient time, we formed tribes because it gave us better chances for survival, and it also gave us more resources. So we formed tribes because together we're stronger. We human beings have no claws, no thick fur. We can't run as fast as some animals can. We can't build impregnable layers, and so on. We're probably not the weakest, but we have a lot of soft spots, and our bodies are not as strong as many other animals. Yet, we are perhaps the only species that colonize all the continents and are the most thriving species in this world. Why? Because we have brains, and we can adapt to different environments, and we can adapt environment to our needs. If it's cold, we build warm houses. If it's hot, we cover ourselves with sunscreen. We adapt to the surroundings, and we adapt environment to us. Another aspect why we form tribes, because we are social animals. A man is not a lone island. We need other men and women to validate our worth. Because if you're a single person on an island, you are probably the best cook, you are the best writer, you are the best singer on that island. So what? You don't have any other people to validate your achievements. And when you belong to a tribe, you get this sense of belonging and love and self-actualization. So perhaps this pyramid is familiar to many of you. It's Maslow's pyramid, and tribes satisfy all these needs. From safety and physiological, it's easier to get food, it's easier to be safe in tribes, and it also provides all kinds of social benefits. Love, belonging, serving higher purpose, all this is possible when we belong to a tribe. And some tribes are more powerful than other tribes. Kingdoms, countries, they often go to war for resources, or even within the same country, sometimes you have inter-company conflicts, you have inter-faction conflicts, you have different political struggles within governmental systems. These is all other symptoms of tribal warfare. is when one tribe, one group of people is fighting another one for better resources or for safety. And when those are combined, we have the power of tribe. You can have powerful tribes, let's say a political party in power, or you can have a low-value tribe that no one respects, like untouchables in India. Through the course of our lives, we belong to many tribes at the same time. So if we talk about me, I was born and raised here in Lithuania, so I belong to a Lithuanian tribe. I also travel, so I'm a traveler's tribe. I'm an Agile coach, so I belong to an Agile tribe as well, and so on and so on. Any kind of university, profession, and so on, you belong to that tribe. You can have stronger tribes and weaker tribes depending on the strength of your connections to that specific group. And those bonds strengthen or weaken through the time. And that's absolutely normal. How many of you heard about the Dunbar's number? Raise your hands. Okay, just a few of us. Dunbar's number is a number that says how many social relations we can maintain at the same time. He discovered this number analyzing number of primates and how big social groups they form. So he found that human beings are capable to have about between 100 and 150 meaningful social relationships at the same time. And when people at Facebook look at the data, they found that this is approximately the number of people every individual on Facebook talks to. It doesn't matter that you have 1,000, 2,000 friends, you're probably talking only to a fraction of them. And they form your kind of tribe, based on interest, based on where you live, based on some other circumstances of your life. So what defines a tribe? How do we know what is a tribe? The simplest and the key aspect that defines a tribe is shared experiences. Probably all of you are working and you attended at least one team building event. Anyone who has never attended a team building event? So what we do there, typically we go do some fun activity so that we build better bonds. We are now a team, we are stronger together. That activity finishes, we go back to our reality. Typically what happens, not so much, right? These experiences have to be special to really form a tribe. Would you believe me that the tribe can form within a week of some activity? But it has to be a quite specific activity. It typically has to be a dangerous activity, a risky one, where you're risking your limb and life, and you're fighting against external obstacles. It can be another team, or it can be a natural phenomenon, cold, rain, swamps, mosquitoes. Those things are that really bond people together. When we together fight against some common enemy outside of us. Because we as human beings are very fascinating creatures. When we don't have an enemy, we find one. If we don't have a common external enemy, we will start, oh, these guys, the other department, it's because of them. Well, blame the technology, blame the marketing, blame the management. It's all their fault. And that's an example of finding an enemy when we don't have one. But when we have a shared experience in some risky endeavors, that bonds are very strong and very enduring. People who served in the military, they say that people I served with, they become to me closer than brothers because we shared the common dangers and we survived together. I don't advocate that we all now need to go to military to form strong tribes, but there is some lessons we can learn from them. So what do shared experiences give us? First of all, they give us shared cultural norms and behaviors. When we work as a tribe, can everyone see this? Or I can see some people in the back. Maybe next time I'll just put it a bit higher. When we face dangers together, when we face obstacles together, we find a way to overcome it And if this strategy succeeds over and over and over, this becomes a codified behavior. Let's say our sales are weak. Then what do? Oh, let's spend some money on advertising. It worked the first time. Yay! Worked the second time. Fantastic. The third time. Wonderful. Now, what happens in that group, the go-to answer for a solution when sales are weak, let's spend more money on advertising. And this happens every time because our brain is lazy. We always look for shortcuts. And if there is a solution that typically works, then we tend to do more of it, even when this solution is counterproductive. A very typical example from any project management. The project is late. What do? Let's add more developers. And then what happens? The project becomes even later. Because as anyone who works in the IT project knows that educating new people, bringing them on board requires more effort from existing teams. And therefore, the project is delayed even more. Then, oh, we need to do something. Let's bring contractors. What happens? The project is even more delayed. But they can't help this solution because that's what they've been trained in. And another cultural norm could be, well, the blame culture, that always shift the blame, find whose fault it is, instead of trying to build a process where that prevents this mistake from happening. Again, because managers are trained always find whose fault it is. That's a shared cultural norm. When groups spend more time together, they form a common language. In Agile world, we have a common language. Developers have a common language. And people who come from outside, they think, oh, well, they're talking almost like an aliens. I can recognize this is Lithuanian or this is English. I don't understand whatever they're talking about. It's like abbreviation, la 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 la, abbreviation. I have no clue what they're talking about. And people in that tribe, when they belong, they know perfectly fine what they're talking about. And the same happens in every organization, every company. Every time I join the engagement, they say, oh, we have so many acronyms you need to learn, like this and that. And yes, in the beginning, you don't understand all the shorthands for all the systems they're using. In about a month, you're fluent, you know exactly what they're talking about. And that's because you became acculturated to the language they're using. And that happens naturally. It's not designed by management, oh, let's have a common language. Just you use some shorthands. In Lithuania, now we have a big problem that too many English words in IT has no direct translation, so we just Lithuanize them. When I was working in Sweden, I wanted, as an immigrant, showed that I know some Swedish, so I tried to write a report with proper Swedish terms for each IT term that we used. And then I got a message back from manager saying, like, I don't understand what you mean. I don't know any of those words, so just use please English words because we understand what those mean. Common language is the key. And then once cultural norms and common language become established, underneath we're forming some shared values. What do we believe in? It could be the most important thing, value for shareholders, or we save planet, or we put people first, or customer first, or whatever value we put in. But often, people are not aware of those. In some teams, I've observed that they say, well, we really care about quality. We really want to ship code without bugs. And they do. A new person comes in and says, like, oh, no, your code is bad. We're not allowing you to merge it. And one says, well, we care about quality. And what it is, it's a shared value. That team believes that code quality is paramount. And then in another office, in the same company, another office, they say, you want to get it shipped in 2 weeks? Fine, we can do that, no problem. But it will be all done with sticks and duct tape, and it will be totally unusable and unmaintainable. But they do that in 2 weeks. They say, pleasing the customer is the most important thing. And then you get conflict when those two teams have to work together. It causes a lot of frustration because those are two different tribes that speak kind of the same language, but they have different values. And how do you reconcile those conflicts? You just bring it to another level. So let's talk about some foundational tribal behaviors. So any tribe, as we have decided, discussed and defined here, be it developers, management, whatnot. First, if they're under threat, let's say IT department is about to be outsourced to India, and then say, oh, by the way, you should train all your replacements. How motivated do you think those people are going to be? Probably not so much, because their security is under threat. They don't care about anything else but either securing a new job or convincing management that outsourcing is the bad idea. So tribes really focus on their security when the tribe's survival is at stake. It could be physical survival, that they will be all killed, or it could be psychological survival. The group will be disbanded, or political party will lose power and disappear and whatnot. However, when they're not under threat, they tend to maximize what I call tribal value or self-worth, meaning that so self-worth means they're trying to maximize their influence and power. And with that, they fight for more budget, more people, and so on. So they try to prove that they're very, very valuable, they're very, very important. You don't focus on that when you're under threat of security. You're trying to survive. Here, you focus on expanding your power base. With individuals, we do exactly the same. If we're afraid that we might lose our jobs, we do anything we can to keep this job or find another one. When we're not under threat, then we can be creative. Then we can actually show and shine all our best talents. Because here is the survival. I do whatever boss says. I don't care. I don't want to lose my job. Here, I can now unleash my creative powers. You might wonder what it has to do with team productivity and how to make sense out of it. So I just draw some abstract diagram of productivity. So when both team and individual are under threat, let's see if I can use a pointer. Yeah. Here, the productivity is very low. Everyone is just willing to, okay, how do I survive? Then once the tribe security is, the department is not under threat, then productivity increases because we're not thinking about survival anymore. We're not on the chopping block. We can do actually we can actually get some work done. Here, this is typically, you can say, state bureaucracy. No one ever gets fired, but then we end up in complacency. Well, why rush? Let's have another coffee break. These papers can wait. It doesn't matter. However, the real change starts when we go into self-worth. When everyone feels absolutely safe, and this was confirmed by Google's Project Aristotle, then magic happens. Because here, this is the way of growth. When you have low tribal value and individual value, they want to prove themselves. They start to grow, they want to improve their skills, and they want to do better. So why is this spike? So this is a team that comes second in the World Championship. They know they're almost the best, they just lost the most important game, and they really, really want to perform well. Because this is where the peak performance happens. You know, their success is just within our grasp, but yet we failed. Then we keep trying and pushing all we can to unleash this. However, what happens when you win? You see, like there is a huge jump, you drop here, and probably even slower than here. Because here, we are the best. Quite often, if you watch football, the team that wins one world championship typically loses the next one and sometimes even doesn't make the quarterfinals. Partly here, because, well, we are the best. We don't have anything to prove. And then the rest of the world, the place number 2 is improving while you are being lazy. You're just saying, coasting on your success. So the best place for the team or tribe to be is here, when you're almost achieving your purpose, your goal, but not yet there. I have talked for quite some time about the tribes, so why should we desire strong tribes? Strong tribes give us, first of all, extreme loyalty and employee ambassadors. Maybe we've seen some groups that no matter what, they will stay with that group and will not leave. Probably like the bonds within them are so strong that even in the case of danger or individual benefit, they will say, I want to stay with this tribe because we're just so awesome together. So you get extreme loyalty, and moreover, they will tell all their friends, this is an awesome place to be. I work in one Swedish company where, well, some people say it's more a cult than a company when I worked there, because the culture was so strong. Typically, in IT companies, we have referral bonuses, where if someone you suggest gets hired, you get money. There, they didn't do that. They called that program, Who Do You Want on Board? They said, we are awesome company. You are awesome people. We want to work with more awesome people, so bring your friends along, tell all your friends that this is a great company. And people did that. A lot of people came with referrals because all their friends were raving, oh, this was so great, especially after the whole company was taken to Dubai in November. It was 2 full planes, huge Boeings booked, about 300 people came to Dubai at company expense. Everyone was posting those pictures on Facebook, and everyone said, what is this company? Because they believed in their people. They believed that by having a strong tribe, by having this commitment, this offsets any expense they would spend on such an extravagant trip. And this comes to any group. It can be charity, it can be non-profit, no matter what. This is more for corporate world. Those people, if they're committed to the tribe, they're so proud of the work they're doing, they will go beyond call of duty to solve any issues, any incidents. 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, they will wake up and solve it, even if it's not their duty time. And in general, they will enjoy high productivity because they believe in the purpose and they believe in what the company is doing. A great example is Apple. They say at Apple, when you get hired, your private life comes second. If you need to work on weekends, you will work weekends. And a lot of people sign up for that because they believe in what they're building, because they want to be part of something greater. This is an example of strong tribe. How do you build strong tribes? So you can take any group of people. I would say you don't need superstars to build a strong tribe. You can take any group of people and build a strong tribe. It all starts with clear tribe purpose, so that you know what are the right people. People that believe what you believe. People who want to achieve what you want to achieve. Once you have this, and you have everyone aligned, magic starts to happen. Because then all the politics goes away, because we want to help children, we want to save forests, we want to build the most amazing product, we want to ship another iPhone. It doesn't matter, because we all share the same purpose. However, how many of your companies have a corporate mission or vision? Well, roughly half. Do you believe in that mission? Have you actually read this? Typically, at least the mission statements I've seen, they don't inspire because they're so washed down, they're very long, they're very politically correct, they say all the right words, and they don't inspire anyone. Because no one really gets inspired by 2, 3 paragraphs of text. However, the strong vision and mission is about a couple of sentences. Microsoft, in its heyday, said that our mission is to bring a desktop to each home. They almost succeeded. They brought it to like 98% of population and so on. But that was the driving force, and a lot of people worked hard to achieve this goal. Dell wanted to build affordable computers. A lot of people that was very successful for a long time. Once they achieved the problem is when you achieve that goal, what's next? Let's take a Cold War example. Race for the moon. US and USSR were working really hard to put the person on the moon, and the whole nation was energized. Everyone rooted for their team. They could work overtime, they would work on weekends just to make sure that the nation would be the first one. NASA was created to address this specific mission, and it was the collection of the brightest minds of American people at that point. What happened after they did that? They started to have politics, they started to fight for budgets, and so on. The whole thing collapsed after they succeeded. So success of your mission is your greatest enemy. It's crucial that once you have achieved one purpose, you should find another purpose that will still energize the people. And I don't say it will be easy, but it's absolutely necessary. Another thing is clear roles, values, and responsibilities. I have seen a number of corporate workshops where top management goes on offsite, spends some time, then says, oh, these are our 5 new values that our company will live by. Something about customers, something about employees, environment, all the political correct stuff they can come up with. And we're entrepreneurial and we strive for excellence. But people don't buy it because it's been defined by this tribe and this change happens to me, not this change happens with me. The better way, if you want to have better values and better roles, you start with teams. If you are an Agile coach or a Scrum Master, you can talk to a team and have a workshop. What are the current values of our team? What do we do? What do we believe in? And then you collect it from all teams and maybe aggregate by department, by division, and bring it to the top management saying, this is what our people believe in right now. And it could be something different than what other people believe. And maybe it's something different than what manager believes they want to be. But if you need to start where you are before you make a jump. Because then you can identify, well, maybe people don't feel that employees are important in this company. How do we make sure that this happens? Because the thing with values, and where a lot of companies fail, they say, this is our values. Probably any significantly large company has a value statement. These are 5 values. How many actually live of them? How many people believe in those values? Not so often. I realized one of the companies I worked with had a problem when the new value statement was shown to employees, and it was something about quality first, and all people laughed in that room. Why? Because they said, we keep informing management about quality issues. No one really gives any thought to it. Nothing happens. We complain about it, nothing happens. How can it be our value if our management does not walk the talk? That's the key thing. You need to live the values. And for me, companies live the values when, on one hand, you have economic benefit, let's say, making some profit or avoiding some costs, or you have values. And this is a crucial moment, because when your values and your economic interests are aligned, it's easy to say, we follow our values. But the key point happens when you have on one scale your values, what you believe in, and another one, your economic benefit. And what do you pick then? Too many companies fail this test because they put economic interest first. And then they wonder why people are not loyal, people leave, people don't believe in what management says. If you put values before your economic interest, then your values start to gain flesh and bones. And it's very important to have external measures of success. It's not enough to say, we are awesome, but how do you prove that? We all can say we're awesome, we're great, we're fantastic. Are there any measures? It can be standards, it can be actually winning something, achieving something. It could be profit, it could be number of deployments, it could be number of sales, customers, you name it. But it has to be external and it has to be objective. Before that, in historic terms, tribes did not need that because they knew that our external measure of success is survival. Do we have enough food to last the winter? Do we control enough territory that we can feed all of our people? Are we strong enough to protect ourselves from all the neighbors? Those were the external measures of success. If you're expanding, if you can control more land with every year, you're probably successful. If you're shrinking, perhaps you're doing something wrong or you have some internal problems. So once you do all these first three things, you will start to feel that something changed. People are different. They behave differently. People are more aligned. They're more inspired. They are more interested and motivated. But what's next? What do we do next? The next is preserving the culture, and that's where you need two other steps. And for those people who are taking picture of slides, you can get those slides. They're no secret. So don't worry, you can peruse them later. So first is clear tribal symbols. You see those people? You can immediately recognize this is a policeman. Those are sports fans. How do you know that? By the visible tribal symbols. And through this, you can clearly identify who they are and what they do. A person who wears a lab coat has more authority just because he's wearing a lab coat. People trust him more because he's probably a doctor or a scientist, and we respect that authority. And this is the same with company symbols. People proudly wear some logos that they strongly associate with. And if you want to preserve the culture, then you create some symbols where they can see that they can proudly wear and say, this means something to me. I want to highlight, I work at Apple, I work at Google, I work at Greenpeace, this is what I care about. And another way to preserve your culture and find that you have the right people is to create rites of passage and credible membership. How do you define who belongs? Typically, it's done through recruitment process, but quite often it's broken, and we hire people for hard skills. We don't screen for psychological traits and personality. Are they a good match? Do they care about the values we care? How many of you were asked if you align with values of the company when you're being interviewed? I have never been asked that. Nobody even asked me if I ever read the values of the company I'm applying for. And that's critical, because if you hire the wrong people, your culture will go away in a couple of years. As the company grows, you lose the culture. And it's especially important to have the right managers with the right culture. And the biggest companies, they typically don't hire that many managers from outside. They say, we're afraid to lose our culture. We want to grow them from within so that they live the culture we're living. And of course, it can backfire when your culture becomes dysfunctional. But in general, this is a great way to preserve a culture by promoting from within. So, to conclude my talk, if you want to build a strong tribe, and I hope I convinced that strong tribes give you a lot of benefits, there are three things you need to do. Define what is the purpose of your tribe? Or if you know the Spotify model, what's the mission statement? You define what are the tribe values? What are the roles? And how do you measure success? How do you know that your tribe is successful? Those are three simple steps, but they're not easy. Trust me on that. You can spend many, many months and years trying to work those out until the very end. So, thank you very much, and I welcome the floor with questions.
Thank you very much to Vasilij. Any questions in the audience?
Yes.
So coming back to the slide where you showed the graphs, where Yeah, I will say which one to stop. With the graph, yeah,
Yes,
this one.
Yes.
So how do you cope with the last bar so that you don't fail after you succeed?
You define a new goal. You define a new purpose that you need to achieve. So if you won a championship, you say, okay, can we win it twice in a row? Or maybe introduce some extra challenge. So can we win next championship not with our A team, but with our B team? And so on. Introduce an extra challenge so that they don't feel that, oh, we can do the same thing again next year and we will be as successful.
If you have more questions, you can write down using Menti tool and be preparing to vote.
The most stressful moment of the presentation.
Are there other questions while people are...
Thanks for sharing. When it comes to the tribes, right? So do you feel that there's like a different type of tribes? Because, you know, company could be as a tribe, team could be a tribe, there could be even a tribe inside of tribes. So
exactly.
How many layers do you see from your perspective? Like,
it can be a lot of layers. So within a team, you can have different tribes. And then all the way to the top, you can have a number of, so it depends on your hierarchy. So each functional unit can be a tribe, but then within that functional unit, there probably will be some tribes as well. So typically, like, tribe can form with like 5 or 3 people. That already can be a tribe.
Thanks.
Are we getting some questions on Mentimeter?
So either everything was super clear or it was not clear at all. Yes. I didn't. I first read about it in one book that I highly recommend called Great Boss, Dead Boss. That's where my inspiration came from. And then I used this model in my practice as Agile Coach, and I just found the elements that were most relevant, and then some elements that were important but not as relevant, I decided not to put in this model. And then I got naturally curious in cultural anthropology, and I'm just reading a lot how this was studied and how culture is formed, how we form the norms. So another book that I can recommend called Organizational Culture by Edgar Schein. It's quite a heavy book, about 900 pages, but it's absolutely fascinating.
Okay, as there is no other questions, I think we can move on. Oh, there was one question. Okay,
can you just read it?
We can try to come back and... Oh, yeah.
Well, the negative side that if you don't manage tribes proactively, if you're not aware of this, they can work against you. A very typical example, management tribe and employee tribe. If you're not aware that those are two different ones, there will be a disconnect, you will not talk to each other, you will not trust each other, and you will not work effectively. So that's the negative. Because you always have tribes, either you're aware of them or not. The power comes from knowing about this and managing this proactively and understanding that why this team is so hard to work with. Maybe because my change that I want to introduce threatens their safety. Maybe by automating some work, people say, well, we don't need as many employees, so let's fire half of them. Then naturally those people will resist because you're threatening their job security.
And we have one more question.
What recruitment techniques are there for hiring people with common values to maintain culture? This is a great question. If you want to talk about this, let's talk about after this talk because I can't answer it in like 1-2 minutes.
Okay, and one more.
Okay, how to improve tribe transparency and how to improve tribe speak with other tribes. Not really sure what is meant by tribe transparency, But to answer the second half of the question, understand, it requires, on one hand, a bit of empathy, and also it's good if some of your, let's say that your tribe, you're part of your tribe, you're talking from some other tribe, educate in what they need, what they want, and a bit of their language, so that you kind of act as culture ambassador. Go, maybe sit with them for a day or two, invite them for lunch, and try to understand what are their concerns. Because once you understand what they want, then it becomes much easier to translate this to what you want. I can give an example if, I think I have a couple of minutes. In the company I'm engaged in right now, we realize there is a gap between IT team and businesses we support in different countries. We have 3 countries per office. And we thought that we don't really understand each other. We talk kind of like this. What we did, we arranged a tour. We visited every business. We did a presentation, who we are. We showed pictures. And we told what we do and how many we are. It was a very fun aha moment for them when it was a huge room, perhaps approximately the number of people that are sitting here. And we said that in this room, there are more people sitting than number of developers that support 3 countries and group initiatives. And they thought that the whole IT, about 250 people, are working to support them. And when they thought, well, it's only 13 developers for 3 countries, we kind of now understand why it takes time to deliver something, because there are not that much manpower as they initially believed. And having those dialogues, if you've been to a previous presentation with Jeff, conversations, that's the best way to improve tribe speak and engage in conversations with other tribes.
Okay.
I think, did someone raise a hand? Or one more, last question? Yes? Yes. So if we go back anthropologically, initial tribes, they didn't really have a strong leader. It was first among equals. And it could be like a rotating one, someone who may be responsible for hunts, for the housekeeping and so on. But you don't really need a strong leader who always takes all the decisions. It can be more a peer-based. We all vote, or we just reach the consensus how we will do this. It's all depends on values of that team and tribe.